Yes.
New developments tonight in our ongoing coverage of the FireAid concert and questions over where $100 million in donations for fire victims is going. Well, now Republican California Congressman Kiley, he's calling on the Justice Department to investigate. Here's what he said today on the House floor.
So I've asked the Attorney General to open an investigation in order to restore the intent of the donors, in order to make the victims whole and to bring accountability.
This was yesterday when he was on the House floor with those remarks. Now, FireAid has maintained that their plan has always been to have trusted nonprofits apply for grants, which could then be distributed throughout the community where the need is greatest for fire recovery.
Republican Congressman Kiley joins us live right now from Washington. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So FireAid told us that they reached out to you since you spoke on the House floor. What did they tell you, and were you satisfied with what they said?
They did reach out and offered to, provide something of an accounting of who received the money and what their internal controls were and so forth. And so I give them credit for reaching out. I think that was the right thing to do, and I'm certainly open to hearing whatever it is they have to say. And at the end of the day, I think the important thing here is to see exactly where the money went and try to restore the confidence of the people who gave so generously. And I think it's of added importance because Congress right now is considering a relief package for LA to get help to the victims. I think that's very much necessary and something that we need to do. And we want to make sure that, if there are nonprofits that are going to be involved in distributing those resources, that there's, confidence that the money will ultimately get to the right place.
So you mentioned that they sent you some of their accounting. They sent us some of the accounting too. Maybe it's the exact same information. So I'm looking at the fact that they say that the Change Reaction, it's a nonprofit. It issued approximately $2,500 cash assistance checks directly to individuals. That's one of several that they provided to us. This is listed on their website, yet they don't say how much money each nonprofit received. Noting, though, that there are victims who have received help from FireAid, do you still have concerns?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of questions. I think two things are certainly true. Number one, I think it's absolutely true that there are worthy nonprofits who receive funding and provided urgently needed help for victims. But it's also true that there have been a lot of questions that have been raised throughout this process. In addition to the reporting that you guys have done at Fox 11, the Pacific Palisades Community Council wrote a letter to the organizers, to FireAid and to Annenberg Foundation on May 15th, saying that there was not a lot of transparency as to where this money was going, and that a lot of the organizations weren't connected to even the LA area, and only a few were even connected to the Pacific Palisades. So I think that getting answers and figuring out, where all of the money went is very important especially when we're dealing with this volume of funds and this many donors and this urgent of a need.
What have you heard back from the Attorney General in terms of next steps?
Haven't heard anything back yet. I mean, we just sent the letter yesterday, but I have also talked about it with folks on the Judiciary Committee in the House, and we have our own investigative, abilities. So it may be something that we look at there as well. And again, I'm not looking to cast blame on anyone in particular, but I think that it is an important issue, and we need to get answers. And I don't know if there's, that whatever funds are left to be allocated, we want to make sure that it gets to the right people and to the people who need the help as quickly as possible.
I think there's about $25 million, if I'm not mistaken, that still needs to be allocated. About $75 million has been given out thus far. They are in round 3 of this grant giving, so take that for what it's worth. How do you make this right?
Well, I think transparency is what's needed here. And I know that there was one organization that has been cited that I actually cited in my letter that appears to have really nothing to do with fire relief, that is involved in civic engagement and voting. And I understand that the grant has been returned from that organization. So I guess that's one thing to do, that if there are other examples like that, of where maybe the funds were not allocated to the right type of organizations, then they can be redirected to the right kind of organizations, or ultimately to what will most expeditiously get the funds to the victims themselves, so many of whom are still struggling to rebuild. Unfortunately, for a whole host of reasons, I think it's been more difficult for a lot of people than it should be.
So this was obviously $100 million in private money. Governor Newsom is asking for $40 billion in public money from Congress. You talked about that process already. Where are we at in terms of getting that money? And could our aid essentially be coupled with Texas and other states that have gone through similar disasters or their own disasters? You think we're going to get that money?
Yeah, I think that, we want to make sure that folks in LA get the help that they need. That is certainly a top priority for me. It's very possible that it'll be coupled with other types of relief for other regions. That's happened in disaster bills that we've done in the past. I will say there is a lot of concern about making sure that the funding that is provided, if it ends up being distributed by the state or by Los Angeles, that it ultimately gets in the right hands and gets to the people who need it, because this is something that our state has not, in Los Angeles, frankly, has not always had the best record of. And I think there's also the question of the political barriers that continue to exist to the rebuilding process. So we want to make sure that people get the funds they need to recover and rebuild, and they actually have the ability to do so within the jurisdiction that they're in. So those are all questions that I think are related to one another.
Lastly, how soon do you expect to hear from AG Bondi?
I'd expect we'll hear back pretty soon. But again, I think we're pursuing this on parallel tracks. I'm certainly, as we mentioned at the outset, in direct conversation with FireAid. I'm on the House Judiciary Committee, and it's something I've talked with the leadership there about looking at. And so I think that we have multiple channels here to try to get answers. I think that, whatever comes out of this, I think that when we see examples of how the money was used in the right way, going to the food bank, going to organizations that are directly supporting victims, that's good information to get out there too. And if there are problematic examples like the one where the grant has already been returned, then we can redirect those funds to make sure that they get into the right hands.
Yeah, we all want people that need help to get help.
100%.
And sometimes shining a light helps do that. So thank you for helping in that process.
Thank you, Congressman.
We appreciate you coming on.
You guys work on this, because you're really, your report was what brought this to my attention. So thanks for your work.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Coming